Welcome everybody to the Swiss Army Man podcast. My name is Tone Gordon, and this is the reboot, I guess. So, bringing back the Swiss Army Man podcast, mostly because I miss it. I miss doing these kind of things. I miss talking to the camera. I miss having friends on and people that I don't know and interviewing them and having great conversation. The reason why I stopped doing it in the first place was because things were getting kind of hectic. Stopped right around when the COVID-19 stuff started to hit. My work schedule went through the roof. I went from working about 45 to 48 hours a week to working somewhere around 58 to 60. So cut out a lot of my time that I had to do things that were creative and of that kind of vibe. So through that time, I've busted my butt and I've really kind of learned where I could. I was bummed that I had stopped doing this, but I just didn't have the time for it. Didn't work out for the schedule at the time. My wife's schedule switched around a little bit from its normal, and we ended up with basically having to be, in a lot of sense, when I was at work for my hours, basically complete opposite shifts. So we were doing everything by ourselves, essentially. We were being a parent, we were being a worker, we were being just basically almost like single parents working together, opposite shifts. So just didn't work out. I had a lot of obligations that unfortunately I couldn't make work with this layout. So we are back though, because things are not back to normal, but things have become in a way where we can actually like coexist with those kind of things happening. And I have a lot to really talk about and get to, and I felt like now is the time to push myself in a creative way and towards a creative space. In a lot of my life, I've been able to figure a lot of things out by myself. I've been able to really dial in and figure out what I want and how to achieve it. And I'm entering a stage of my life in which I have a goal in mind for the first time in a long time. I don't know if anyone who's watching this saw a thread that I put up a couple days ago on Twitter, but basically it explains that the second that I stopped throwing a baseball until now, which was about 20 years old till I'm 37, I have had things in my life that I wanted to achieve, but they were never fulfilling. Things that I thought were the things to do weren't the things to do. So, for the first time, I have something that I really, really want to do for me and I want to be great at. So I'm going to push forward and try to achieve that. And that happens to be something that is a creative space, which is something that I've always flirted and floated around the orbit of. When I was young, I helped my brother start his company, his art studio. He has a tremendous talent, but didn't know how to make it into a career per se. He was freelancing, and he had a falling out with the gentleman he was freelancing with, and didn't know how to sustain it to create a company. That's where I stepped in and I helped him figure that out, and we ran that thing and turned it into a crazy business. If you want to listen to what some of that was like, go back and listen to the interview where I interviewed my brother Jonathan Gordon. We talk a lot about that phase, about how crazy it was to be writing orders and making thousands of dollars a night on eBay, selling cards that we made ourselves in a bedroom. We created a business that was sustainable and something he still runs today, which is amazing. And he's one of my favorite artists of all time. He's just an amazing artist. If you don't follow him, it's at Naj Votra. It's Nojfotra. That's Art of John backwards. I went from that to managing a sports merchandising store, which is something else I love. I love sports, and I love being in that space, and that allowed me to be around sports for the first time since I had quit sports for having injuries. um, that brought me a long way, and then I entered the wine business where I did a lot of things and I grew a lot, and I thought being the top at business could be something that would propel me into feeling better and fulfilled, and it wasn't. And I also did music at the time, and that caught on a little bit and felt good for a little bit, but creating songs was where I found my happiness and where I found my life taking me, right? So I pursued that, and I achieved a level of success that I didn't think I would achieve. And that's when I realized I could succeed in almost anything. And right around that time, my first child was born, and I said, you know what? I can do anything, so why not make a lot of money? And so I went to business, and I busted my butt, and I made a lot of money. And that was something that seemed fulfilling because I was able to provide for my family. I was able to provide a stable life and a nice home and all of those things for my family. And that turned around, and I realized, that's not always the thing that's going to fulfill you. It's the thing that needed to be done. So I've been all across the board. I moved to Colorado to pursue happiness. I have a beautiful family and 3 kids now that have brought me immense amount of happiness. And I want them to achieve their dreams. And as I work with them with their dreams, I can't help but think about my dreams. And my dreams are to do something that is extraordinary and do something that grows and has passion and is something that fulfills me from the depths of my soul. So I know what that is. And it's hard to explain to anyone, so I will spare you the explanation, but it is something creative. It is something where it's multifaceted. It's something that uses all the skills that I have and all the things that I've learned. Maybe not the greatest at, but very good at, to make a Swiss Army man version of myself to attack the world. And that's why I felt it was really, really interesting to come back to this podcast, which is all about that. That's why I named it the Swiss Army Man podcast in the first place. It's because I find a fascination in people who can do multiple things very well. Take somebody like Pat McAfee, who is a great punter, and then now has transitioned himself into the internet world and broadcasting and a business owner, merch designer, seller. I mean, all of these things, all of the hats that he wears, those kind of people fascinate me. So that's really the avenue I want to go. I have a opportunity, I think, in the next couple of years with my passion and my skill to do something immensely important and fulfilling to myself. And that is what I'm going to chase. So I set myself some deadlines, and I've just went to learning about a number of different things, putting my head to the ground, just being one foot in front of the other. You know what I'm saying? I know where the end goal leads, and I know where it's going to take me, and I'm going to get there. So thank you for coming along with this journey. I'll definitely talk about it more on here, I'm sure. Even put up some of the stuff that I've done. I have a notepad here that's filled with stuff that I plan to achieve and plan to do. And I do almost a page a day of stuff, ideas, whether they be merch ideas for other people or podcast ideas or song ideas or really anything. I mean, animation ideas. I have so many thoughts inside my head, and narrowing it down to what it is that I really want to focus on is something that is going to be very vital for the future. So thank you for coming along with that. That being said, let's actually kick off the Reboot episode. Wanted to talk about a couple things. I put it out on social media about some of the things I should talk about. One of those was Patrick Mahomes' huge contract, which I think is awesome. As somebody who played sports up to a high level, making that much money seems really, really astronomical, but at the same time, you're going to have taxes taken out, and this is a guy who's going to take a beating and basically get a 30-year career slotted into 10 years. So why not make as much as you can? And that deal, with how quarterback salaries roll, is going to be cheaper in the long run than it would be for them to sign somebody of his caliber. He's already won an MVP and already won a title so early into his career. Basically, if he does nothing else in his career, that contract is worth it. He brought the Kansas City Chiefs a championship. So, big deal on that. And I don't think the money is so astronomical that it's like I know people are going to freak out. It's a $500 million on paper, but that's what these guys who come in, who can align themselves with a massive amount of hype and a massive amount of talent, can earn easily. I mean, you have guys earning $300 million shoe deals in the NBA. So why is it abnormal for someone from their actual team to make almost $500 million? Especially when they're bringing in revenue for that team, selling out tickets, selling out stadiums. I mean, they're like a performer in that way. They're selling out stadiums. They're selling merch. They're bringing in other players potentially that will want to play with that player, and then that creates more merch revenue and more titles, essentially, possibly, and more sponsorship around stadiums, stuff like that. So it's a solid investment by the Chiefs, and actually I think a really good deal for them to get Patrick Mahomes at that cheap. So that is something that I think you'll see more of down the line. I think when you get some of these quarterbacks that come in year 1, year 2, and have some level of success, maybe make a run to like deep into the playoffs, you're going to see players get signed way faster to longer deals, try to lock them in and all that kind of stuff, because that's just the way it works nowadays. And now, knowing the landscape of what you can work around, you have your quarterback, which is the linchpin essentially in the NFL, locked up. So you can now take that money and spread it around and figure out where you're going to save money and splurge and get complementary pieces for all around, which is going to be helpful to the team and also to the player, because the player is going to say, okay, I know you now have this much money. I am here for the long haul. You have me locked in. There's no worry of me leaving, per se, unless you trade me, and unless he has a no-trade clause. I didn't check that part. But so he can feel confident. They can feel confident. He's almost becomes part of the coaching tree, essentially, of, hey, I'm here for the long haul, so let's do right by all of us. So I think that'll be definitely something that the Chiefs, and we may look back and it may be stupid. He could get hurt. Any of that kind of stuff could happen. But on paper, as it stands now, great solid deal. I think they do that every day out of the week. I mean, and then on top of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about, obviously, all the coronavirus stuff, people going into the bubbles and all that kind of stuff. I'm excited for sports to be back. I know everybody has pretty much been dreading not having sports. That being said, I found the AFL, which is super awesome, through Pat McAfee. Again, we'll reference him. He is a big part of my life, I would say. I enjoy all of his content and his views on the world, something that is very, very awesome. And he brought the AFL into my consciousness, at least. I'll speak for myself. And I have become a Fremantle Dockers team supporter. And that was because of Evan Fox, who is also a Lions fan. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to stick with my allegiance. Me and Fox both support the Lions, and I like some of the teams, other teams like Michigan State that he roots for. So why not follow and become a Fremantle Dockers fan? And it didn't disappoint. Lost the first couple games and then are on a 2-game winning streak. Just had an epic match. Came back from a massive deficit and put up a win with a last, late score. And that's the kind of sports you can get into. I mean, I literally am pumped to watch the next game every time. The second that ended, I was like, damn, when's the next game? I want to watch. I want to watch this and be part of this. And I was live tweeting, and I have to say this, the fans, all of the fans, all the people that followed me, I got my son a Fremantle Dockers Sheeran ball, and I got myself a coffee mug as well, but I posted a picture of him, and the fans were like so nice, and a lot of them followed me. I followed I think I followed everybody who followed me, followed them back, and have had interactions with them. If you followed me on that period, and I didn't follow you back, DM me, and I want to follow you, because I definitely tried to go down and add all the people, and I talked to a bunch of them, and during that game it was like back and forth. I asked a couple people about rules that I had no clue of, and they were so nice and told me about them, gave me some history of the team. Just pumped up to be a part of that community. It's so awesome. They're so incredibly cool and nice. And I have a nephew who is half Australian. He actually lives in Australia. So it's cool to be like on board with the AFL, and I'm pumped to see where that goes. So you'll hear me talk about that, I'm sure. It's cool when you find a team. I didn't think at 37 I was going to find another team that I had an awesome amount of passion for, like I do, like the Lions. But like, man, I think this is it. I think this team has so much fun behind them, and you know what? It's going to be a roller coaster. Everyone told me it's going to be a roller coaster. I told them I was ready for it. I'm a Lions fan. Deal with the roller coaster. So I'm ready. I'm on board for the roller coaster, and it so far has been nothing short of amazing. So looking for a big win this week as well. So, and going into the Lions fandom, I'll probably end it on this because I wanted this first one to be a little bit short. You're going to get about one of these a week. I think actually one of these a week for sure, like maybe a 10 to 40-minute podcast with me by myself. I'm also going to try to supplement in interviews with other people as well. So you should get 1 to 2 podcasts a week. Any questions, any comments, anything you want me to talk about, comment and let me know. DM me. My DMs are open on both the @SwissArmyMan podcast. I think it's @SwissArmyManPod Twitter, and also @PatchOfBlackDFS Twitter. Hit me up on either of them, and we will talk, and I can add those into what I talk about. And then also I wanted to talk about 2 more things. So we'll do Tanner's question @Vanilla Gorilla, one of the anomalies. I love those guys. I just did a podcast with him yesterday. He asked a question because he's a Packers fan and he wanted to be mean. He asked me to do a marry, fuck, kill for Matt Stafford, Barry Sanders, and Megatron. So, if you don't know the Lions the way other people do, those are probably the 3 best players we've ever had, and 3 of the most popular players we've ever had, and it makes it very hard. So, I will say, we're going to get the marry out of the way quick. Matthew Stafford's getting married. He's shown that he's a caring, compassionate person who can take care of his partner, and he's also just seems like a cool dude. So, definitely going to marry Matt Stafford, right? He's solid. He's not going anywhere. He feels like he's in it for the long haul. And, I got abandonment issues from the other 2. So, might be hard. Barry Sanders retired early. Megatron retired early. Not their faults. They got beat up, whatever, but I don't want them leaving. So, taking Matt Stafford as my marry. I feel like you gotta go Barry Sanders for fuck, because the amount of excitement that dude's brought into my life. It's got to, that's just how it's gonna be. Dude had the most exciting runs all time. So that's definitely gonna be that, and I am gonna have to kill Megatron. That sucks. I feel like there's not a good option. I would have felt good doing that to none of them. I don't like it. I hate you, Tanner. I love you also. You're my buddy. But, tough question. So, yeah. So, Megatron, I apologize, but I had no other choice. So, last but not least, I'm going to talk a little bit about my buddy @Brandt Tobler. If you don't follow @Brandt Tobler, he's an amazing stand-up comic. And I've been doing some work for him. obviously doing some graphics. I've done some booking of podcasts, trying to get guests, all that kind of stuff. Done a little bit of everything, and it's really been helpful to me. Something that I really cherish. They also do Stand-Up Explained with Andrew Slater, and that's something that is very funny. If you're an aspiring stand-up comedian or a stand-up comedy fan, go listen to that. They get into the behind the scenes of stuff, and very awesome. It's been really cool to get to be a part of the behind the scenes of stuff and help push those kind of things and learn the ins and outs. It's almost like an internship in a weird way. That's how I treat it. But I have so much free reign that it's like I can make almost anything and I can do almost anything, and it's really up to my animation game, my graphics game, my video game, editing, all of that kind of stuff has been upped. And so thank you, Brandt. I appreciate you allowing me to be part of that and help out. And you'll probably see Brandt on an episode coming up here. I'm going to try to get him back on. He was a guest before, but I think times have changed quite a bit in the almost, 7 months since I've had him on the podcast. So I think I'm going to get him back on, and we're going to try to chit-chat about some stuff and have some fun conversations. So thank you guys for watching the first Reboot episode, and I will see you guys very soon. You can look for these to be steady, so hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter and I guess Instagram as well. It's at Swiss Army Man Pod, and then I am at Patch of Black DFS. So follow me, and we will talk, and we will chat, and we will enjoy our time. So thank you guys for investing in me and talking, and my talking and all that kind of stuff. I promise it'll get better. I didn't really script this one. I kind of wanted to be like a little bit more just free flowing. So, but gonna have some awesome topics, probably about 3 or 4 each week, and we're gonna fire through them. You're gonna hear my opinion and some interesting takes. So, again, I can't help but thank you guys for spending your time with me, and I look forward to creating that relationship. And if you ever have anything or ever want to talk, my DMs are open. Hit me up. We'll talk. Thank you for watching the Swiss Army Man podcast. Peace.